My father made a frown. Father of the idea. Did not know that going out from his hometown of dear old, from whom you of the hometown, or overheard would that take a monthly salary how much if graduated from college. My father was always said to wonder something about 100 yen. Against such people, so not bad of reputation. I wanted to clean up my graduation freshly. I have considered a wide capital as Konkyochi, when viewed from the father and mother. Did not differ in such odd body man to walk like toward feet in the sky. Even if your me was caused time to time the actual feeling, such is the kind of person. I openly to confide his thoughts. It was Mokuzento in front of the father and mother terrible of Kenkaku to distance. Is not it good once you ask even for those who you well teacher. At times like these what? My mother was not able to interpret the teacher to the outside than this. The teacher was the one who recommended and I get by dividing the early fortune of living of the father when I go back to my country, because I graduated, was not a person that will shy tiaro the good offices of the position. Father is the paddle of teacher are you doing, was heard. I answered, I do not have anything. I also from the old days of solving the father the fact that not anything of the teacher was in. Going to told to mother. Then my father was supposed to be certainly store it. What that does not do anything. Also I somehow, you is what likely doing something if people such much to so much respect. But I, father says, was satire me, the father of the idea. Useful stuff is working to give everyone considerable status out to the world. Bai Jingwa seemed to have concluded that he is playing because Yakuza. Dat people like me, although not monthly salary what I got. Not you're just playing around even this. My father went also this. I was still silent still. If great people such as you say, by us looking for surely something ports. Asked by a look of the paddle, said the mother heard. I answered, no, is not well no choice. Why asked not you doing? Do not put out because the good even in a letter. Yeah, I stood a seat by the Namahenji. 7. My father was clearly afraid of his disease, but was not a quality to embarrass your opponent over gastric alahai each time the coming of doctor. Questions. Even if you're the doctor also did not say anything to refrain from. My father seemed believes that the post-mortem, it was seemed view imagine a home after gone at least myself. Also to be academic in small test. That's good or bad. Pains into the apprenticeship. The small today not come never return to home. It's like to be academic in order to isolate the parent and child without hand's eye. The results were the academic brother is now pain in the distant land. In causal educated, I also was firmly prepared to live in Tokyo. Complaints of the father who raised this kind of child was not well unreasonable. In the many years to live cottage was old. Imagine the father that portray only one person left behind as likely mother was not different to. Well lonely. My house is not what a father can of that move was not fully believe. Mother dwell therein also during a life. Believed that those that cannot be moved, after their death, the lonely mother, only one person, was also tremendous anxiety to leave behind the home of emptiness. 2. Saying, Motomero a good position in Tokyo. The head of the father wants to strong me there was a contradiction. I at the same time as I thought funny the contradiction, but pleased to be out of its thanks also to Tokyo. I did not do without a yoso front of the father and mother. 2 is being sought in an effort as much as possible this status. I wrote a letter to the teacher, described and detailed the circumstances of the house. He asked me to good offices because to do anything once if there is to be able to on my own. I teacher wrote this letter while I think my compete to my request also intended stay. Wrote this letter while I think that my can also be to do as a narrow world teacher. But I wrote thought I'd have a reply to this letter from the teacher will surely come. I went toward the mother before issuing to seal it. I wrote a letter to the teacher. As your saying was, take a look at a little reading. My mother did not read it as was my imagination. The General Assembly. It's fast you out. Also others such a thing is not careful. Something to do early on their own. Mother thought of me still well like a child. I was also really feel like a child. I do not have enough but for S letter. Anyway, so even in September, I is Naku from out to Tokyo. Although it may sorry likely. Also to possibly. Because I do not always even that there is not any good mouth. It was better to keep asking early is not. Yeah, anyway because we Goku to come reply, Soshatara also let's talk. I believed in meticulous teacher over to such a thing. I hard awaited the coming of the reply of the teacher. But I expected was finally out. From the teacher 1 week, I did not have even after what's message. Would you have done, even in summer to the majority somewhere? I had to use the word seems to excuse toward the mother. Then the word is not only excuse for the mother. It was also an excuse for his own mind. I became uneasy also have to defend the attitude of the teacher assuming a situation of something strong. I sometimes forget the father of the disease. It was or thought or led out to rather early Tokyo. His father himself was able to forget his own illness while worried about the future. Kokoro-ji for the future did not take Iko. I finally just not get a chance to begin to say to my father that the teacher of advice is property. Distribution. 8. Made in September the beginning. I tried to go out more and more also to Tokyo. I asked into me for the time being sent a street student until now toward the father. I had this in here, because it's not here you say what status of the street can be obtained. I went that in order to obtain the status desired by the father like going to Tokyo. It went as a matter of course because it is good at it until you find the mouth. I am out of the heart. The mouth had hardly thought it came down to the top of my head. But father unfamiliar circumstances also had merely believed the opposite. Since would be between the small quantity. It'll somehow convenience. I instead should not a long time. Is Naku, equivalent of standing independently as soon as a white solid. More than was originally out of the school. To other care from the next day leaving Nanzo become what s not do because. Now the young ones have knowledge a only way to use the money. It does not seem at all thinking those who take the money. Quote, my father said a variety of nagging still be out of this. Among them, I was asked to kuways to the old days of the parent the child. Now if parents only is eaten by a child was a word like. They had heard I just silently. When the nagging thought that it finished one way. I tried to quietly stand up the seat. My father was always the go ask me. Only early for me was good. You'd better look at the data mom. Let's do so. At that time I was Zangai Odanashika in front of his father. I am as much as possible to not go against the mood of the father. Tried to leave the country. My father was also detained me. Because you can go to the Tokyo home is also lonely. After all, just mom and himself. It's me but also good if the body even fluent. Not say this date as no time suddenly anything. I am comforted as much as possible father. He went back to the place that is at his desk. I am sitting between the book that Toratarashi, the attitude and words of forlorn father, was several times repeated view. I heard the voice of that time also cicada. Its voice is unlike heard in the meantime. Was the voice of the type of cicada. I am back in the summer of his hometown, and sitting in coagulation in the voice of the cicada, such as cooked stick. It was often there to become a strangely sad mood. With my sorrow as always fierce sound of the insects, was can so as to go stain on the bottom of my heart. I will not move always when such stared at one person alone. My sorrow came to change the subsequent gradually Yoko was this summer homecoming. To as the voice of the large brown cicada is changed to the voice of the type of cicada. The fate of the people surrounding me, in one of the big reincarnation, seemed to be soon moving. While repeating the attitude and words of a lonely likely father. Smiled had also ye that of teacher that does not yokosa reply even out a letter. The teacher and the father. In that it gives me the opposite impression as if, on top of the comparison as well, even on top of the association, was easy up together in my head. I had almost all of the father, also no devotion. If leaving the father, it was only there as a parent-child of regret over the joy. Many of the teacher still did not know me. Speak and promise still opportunity to hear the past of the people was in ease. In short, the teacher was dim for me. I am by all means past the there. The gas was sorry to go up to a bright place. Teacher and extinct of the relationship was large, not painful for me. I asked see the day the mother was extremely me of the date that stand to Tokyo. 9. I have been on the verge of it will finally stand up. I think that was the thing certainly 2 days before the evening. Father is also suddenly turned over. I was tying the luggage, which when filled with books and clothes that my father had just entered the bath. Called me mother, went to sink the back of my father, put a big voice. I saw a father that has been embraced from behind the mother leave the nude. But when the back is accompanied to the parlor, my father said that it is all right now. Sitting on the bedside just in case. I had to cool my father's head with do not touch with wipe. 9 o'clock, was spoofing a midnight snack of just finely formed turned around. My father energetic, then I thought it was good, and the next day it was in go to the toilet to walk without hearing also fasten. It's all right now. My father was also repeated the same words and went towards me when you fell down the end of last year. At that time it was well okay as really said in the mouth. I thought I might be even or so now. But the doctor just simply to note that it is essential precaution. Did not you talk about that was ascertained also press just in case. Me because of anxiety. Did not occur is willing to finally stand up to Tokyo also come the day of departure. I talked to my mother, do let's from seeing a little more state. I asked my mother is then late. Mother father have it only it isn't calm while looking at the find or down to Cedo and out to the garden. Was Dari rub care or worry about such a thing occurs and also more than necessary. You did not supposed to go to Tokyo today. His father had heard that. Yes, we extended a little, I answered. Father wrote for me. It is reflective listening. I was a little hesitant. Speaking so was such as to endorse that the heavy father's illness. I did not want a father of the nerve hypersensitivity. But my father seemed that inside well my heart, saying, I'm sorry, facing the garden. I went to my room, looked at luggage that has been thrown out there. Luggage so that is no problem even when taken out, remained enclosed tightly. I idly standing before that. It was also considered whether trying to solve the rope. I'm in the mood nodded here fall when floated the waist while sitting. Also 3. Spent 4 days. Then my father also fainted. The doctor ordered an absolutely ANGA. Mother's, I guess that what was said to me in a low voice so as not to hear my father. Face of the mother was really forlorn. I was ready to hit a telegram to his brother and sister. There was little nothing of the anguish in his father but sleeping. Looking at such a place to talk. It was exactly the same thing as when caught in cold. Moreover, appetite advanced than usual. Those beside it did not hear that say easily be careful, because I'm anyway die is naku die also eat a delicious thing. I the words of the father of delicious things I heard also funny to he also. My father is did not live in the city to be put delicious things in the mouth. Chewed munch ask baked in kakamochi and into the night. I wonder why this thirst for. After all, might there is a strong place in my heart. My mother rather put us the good place disappointed. The words of the old-fashioned that thirst not used only at the time of the habit illness has been used to anything ate what meaning. When the uncle came to sympathy, my father was not attributed to detained forever. But is that me motto we weighed reasons because lonely. Mother and I, also the appeal complained that not eat the stuff just when to eat. It seems to have been one of its purpose. 10. Father of the disease lasted more than a week in a similar state. I brother are in the Kyushu. A long letter in the meantime, issued addressed to is to sister was issued from the mother. I am a belly. Perhaps this was thought it would be the last message to do to two people in relation to the health of his father. So in the case that more and more to both was to write the meaning that come out from hitting the telegram. My brother was in the busy job. My sister was pregnant, so the risk of the father did not hear the freedom to attract within no by raw in front of the eye. To say that, but came conveniently much trouble. Is the also was hard said that did not meet the deadline. I am for the opportunity to apply a telegram. I felt the responsibility that do not know the person. I do not know even to me when it comes to the interests ascertained. But just the fact that risk do not know when to come. Please, I know you. The doctor was greeted from the town with a depot, was said to me. I am in consultation with a mother. In the good offices of the doctor, I decided to ask one person, a nurse from the town hospital. My father made a funny face looking at the woman wearing white clothes to come to the bedside. My father had been aware since shaken that you are suffering from shibyo. And yet, I did not notice the death itself that is being approaching in front of the eyes. Let's go to another play. One return to Tokyo Terrasu now. Do not, because human beings do not know when to die. That want to do anything is limited to keep doing while you are alive. Mother without how at that time I also let me go as accompanied together, had been combined tone. And the like. Also wanted very lonely when time. I as you die, if me doing to take care of mom. I had a memory of a kind in the word that this, I as you die. When you stand in Tokyo. The teacher has repeated it many cursory toward the wife. It was that the evening of the day I graduated. I am the face of teacher tinged with laughter. I began remembering the state of his wife that blocked the ear and not be at the edge. At that time, once I is dead, it was a simple assumption I hear of was the fact that do not know when to happen now. I could not learn the wife of attitude toward teacher. However, in the mouth of the former it had to be somehow diverted his father. You do not do is saying that such week. Now is not that supposed to come to play to Tokyo Terrasu? Mom along with, I will surprise surely and come now. We have that train new line. It since has been increasing natural if to pass through the train, even very only. It changes also streets, to also properly amendment on it. When Tokyo is a coagulation is also well all the time a minute it is as good to say that there is. No, I sue butterfly tongue until it nice not say from helped. My father also. Rishiku satisfaction had heard it. Became many and out of the house. Sick person is natural because there is such as relatives who are in the neighborhood. It came to alternately sympathy at a rate of about 1 to 2 days. Also there was here how strange things are in the relatively far during. I thought if in this situation it'll be all right. Story also is a free earth face him not or not at all skinny was something to go home to say that like home I was at the time the home was quiet as too quiet is. Began to gradually noisy in such a thing. Disease of the father who is to not move in it. Was just going to move towards not interesting. I will consult with my mother and uncle. It was a telegram to finally brother and sister. It came the reply that immediately go from brother. There is an alarm that also stand from the husband of the sister. This before, since abortion when pregnancy. Now what is it I'm going to assume the importance so as not to become a habit. Is the husband who come for some time say, did not might come out on their own instead of sister. 11. Also between these fell would know. I had a room to sit still quiet. Open the book to even 10 page also read came out even time in rapid succession. Once tightly enclosed my luggage was in. It had been imperceptibly solved. I will leave it to need. It was taken out of the various things from it. When I stand in Tokyo, it was extremely out of the heart. was neglected the daily routine in this summer. I've done it. The three of this daily routine was not trivial to scratch. I came piled without time and again this kind of unpleasant until now. But examples that do not carry the street work that I thought about this summer was small. This is I was given reduced to unpleasant feelings while I think that it would be run-of-the-mill people. While I sit on the back of this discomfort, it was considered the father of the diseased one. I have imagined that after the dead father, then at the same time, smiled think that the teacher in one. I am standing on both ends of this unpleasant mood. Education, looked at completely different two people of the vestiges of personality. I have left the bedside of his father. Mother came out to where you were with his arms folded in a book that was distraught alone. I little horse sleep but press. You also will no doubt get tired. My mother did not understand my mood. I also did not have a child enough to expect it from the mother. I thanked the brevity. My mother was standing at the entrance of the still room. Dad, and I have heard. Mother answered, it's out of your sleeping well now. My mother sat beside me come suddenly entered. I heard that still paddle not come to say anything from the teacher. My mother believed in my words at that time. I at that time was guaranteed a mother and I'm sure there is a reply from the teacher. But with the coming reply, such as desired by the father and mother, did not I also expect like at that time? I fell into the same result as the deceived mother if there is knowledge. My mother said, do not look out the letter another cursory. Useless to try to write what mails a letter. It is if made to comfort the mother. Was not I in the like take care of the trouble? But the approaching to the teacher in this kind of business was my pain. I scolded his father. Then or Sanji the mother of mood, was afraid far from being despised from the teacher. Also do not you get a reply until now with respect to that request. Or there was also distrust that I wonder not that from such translation. While writing the letter is not a translation. I do not perforate it as very lauchy, as postal these things. Just out on their own to Tokyo. Is Naku directly asked by Megora. Because Dad, as that situation, you do not know or are out to Tokyo. Sapam does not come out. The one that is also not messy also that there is no hailing. At all. Yuru. I am going to have to this properly. You're talking about obvious Soria. Verge keeping clutter release a large sick that difficult. I wonder who is arbitrarily that goes something to Tokyo. I am among the heart started. But have mercy on the mother who does not know anything. But the mother could not understand why what was brought out this kind of problem when you have this noisy. I have to despite the illness of his father. To as a margin or to quietly sitting or browers. Mother forget the previous sick of the eye. Just think about the outside of it. And I wonder if there's an open space in the chest outed. At that time mother and actually it began to say. In fact, in one of the out of your living father. But I think it would thy mouth Misaru a peace of mind I am sure Tera Goku. S this situation. But may not meet the deadline very. Even so. Mouth doing still also certainly Nara because Reem certainly. Hold down the filial piety to bring to delight in one of the you out. Quote, aware that I was in circumstances that cannot be filial piety. I also was not issued to the teacher finally letter of the line. 12. When my brother came back, my father was reading the newspaper while sleeping. Father but was a habit only to pass through the newspaper no matter what the place from hero. From about on the floor. Wanted to grace further read it for boredom. Mother to me also without opposition as by force. Was allowed as much as possible he wanted to the sick. Quote, thing a fairly if such vigor to fitly if you came, wondering what bad. Very is not that good is. My brother was talking to the father while saying such a thing. Tonto the bustling sounded rather incongruous to me. But when it is facing pointing me to remove the front of the father. It had sunk, rather. Do not cry, do you read something newspaper? Though I think so, not because I do not know to read, there is no specification. My brother was listening silently my excuse. Before long, such as how well understood the brother in order understanding of the father of the disease, seems to have observed as differently dull than hero. It is well, certainly. I tried to talk various sitting at the bedside just a little while ago 20 minutes. As a result of out of tune is a little no. According to it, as that state might still have weight. Opinion of the husband of the sister arrived back and forth with his brother. We were abused as optimistic then. My father had asked Darakor that of sister toward him. It is better not shake riding Nanzo to recklessly train because the body forcing the to or come in sympathy, rather because here it is a concern, had to say, to be seen in the face of a baby once healed in what now? No problem, because go out from here after a long time, was going with Nogi even when the dead general, my father knew it best earlier in the newspaper. Such as it's very. We do not know even what was surprised by this sudden words. I think what at that time finally has become strange. Hiarido, the brother and later went me, was I also tell the truth I was surprised a sister of the husband seems to also agree word with. At that time the newspaper is actually, had a only article, such as in the countryside things are waiting for each day. I read it in Taeyasushi sitting at the bedside of his father. When there is no time to read is, bring gently to his room. It was no Korazu through the eye, my eye for a long time, and was wearing a military uniform Nogi general, and then was not able to forget the dress was the appearance of his wife. As seen court ladies, come blowing heartbreaking wind up to the corner of the countryside, in the middle of Shuka sleepy likely to trees and grass. I received a telegram of one mail from the teacher suddenly. Dog with barking such a place is looking at the person wearing the clothes. Was even a major event one mail of the telegram. Mother received it is to the state. Such as really surprised. Calls to the place where not bother the people me. Saying, would I, to open my sealed waited standing beside. Meaning that either come but I want to see a little in the telegram was written easily. I tilted his head. Mother, I'm sure that its mouth that had been Wachutanomo gave me conclude. I thought I also, or might do so, but then it was thought also that it is a little strange. I anyway was summoned to her husband's brother and sister, hitting the father of the disease. She did not go to the translation to go to Tokyo. I decided to hit the rewire that in consultation with the mother. Not to go. But he added that they're lapsing in critically ill father's illness as much as possible simple words. But because the mind was sorry, as particulars letter, issued by the postal recognized the fine situation on the same day. Mother, take and believe just the things I asked. IG was a disappointed face saying, I think there is no way. When bad between really, 13. Letter that I wrote was quite long. Mother and I also thought it would come to say something from the teacher what now. Then again telegram on the second day out a letter I arrived addressed to. Was not only complain that one, do not come to it. I showed it to my mother. I will intend this to have to say somehow in the majority letter. Mother teacher far has seemed or interpreted only as us to good offices of the mouth of food and clothing for me. I also, or was also considered so either. But when try and press from here out teacher, was somehow strange to think. Teacher is me looking for a mouth. This is shelt forced as that obtained seemed to me. Anyway, because should my letter not arrived yet to the other side, this telegram is it's not a difference in what you put in front of it. I went that taken such understanding toward the mother. My mother also answered, yeah, well thought plausible. Before you do not read my letter. The fact that the teacher struck the telegram, in order to interpret the teacher, though as may not stand for nothing. Since that day, just attending physician had become should bring a director from the town. My mother and I did not have a cut opportunity to talk about this incident. Two of the doctors on the mutual standing went back to the such as enema to the sick. My father since been ordered to Zamboanga from the doctor, had been asked to dispose of in the other hand while sleeping also both flights. Fastidious father is. What between the first grossly was a meek year of it, because the body does not work, plus the use forced unwillingly on the floor. It somehow or head from becoming increasingly dull by the degree of the disease. According to go through the day, began to do not mind a lazy excretion, sometimes profane the futon and bed sheets. To those near the lapping the eyebrows, the person was or had rather unabashedly. The most amount of urine is the nature of the disease. Has become extremely small. The doctor did it bother. Appetite waned gradually, even if occasionally wants something. Only tongue coveted. It did not pass, only a very small quantity is down from the throat. Favorite newspaper also no longer has energy to take in hand. Reading glasses on the pillow beside remain, that was also contained in a black sheath forever. Now that was good works of the relationship from the children of the hour and minute one, when a person who lives in the place where space just sought came in sympathy. My father saying, "Oh, works an or dull I the works it was directed towards. Thank you for coming works. Installments guess enviable durable, himself am no good. Such a thing am not. To use something children to graduate from college both of them. I got sick about a little. Alright am not. I look at me. The caca is to be die. No children, am just things are just this way alive. Glib dad is not nothing to look forward to." Quote, "Two to come works and was the enema has. Was that after 3 days. My father was pleased to say that has become very music thanks to the doctor. Healed mood in the wind that was able guts a little for their own life. Mother who is near is. What was suricoma to it? Or for applying energy to the sick. That came from the teacher of the telegram. As if my position was talking as it was in Tokyo as desired by the father. You are near to the itchy mood. But since no floor also mean to block the words of the mother. Was listening in silence. Sick was a happy face. Also told her husband the sister as well as fine. Brother, do not know yet whether it is what the mouth was heard. I lost the courage too late to deny it, and the ambiguous reply not anything gibberish to myself, was deliberately standing seat. 14. Father of the disease came in advance to just before waiting for the final blow, where he appeared to be for some time to hesitate. Sentence of fate is that of the house. Today or down. Wondering what goes down today. Every night when on the floor, my father was not anywhere to feel the pain of the more painful ones near. Nursed and become the point was rather easy. For Yojin, someone although had been alternately occurred by about one person. Those after was not permissible take back to their own bed to the considerable amount of time. When I could not sleep in the beat of something, I was wrong. I think that was faintly heard a voice like groan of the sick person. 1. Amane midnight to have escaped the floor. Thursday I went to the bedside of his father just in case it was. That night was hit and turn as happening mother. But his mother had been asleep since he was a pillow bending the elbow to the side of his father. My father was also quiet as gently placed the person on the back of a deep sleep. I also returned to his bed in the tiptoe. I went to bed in the brother room with mosquito nets. Only the husband of the sister, probably because undergoing kayak watsukai, rested entered the parlor away alone. Seki's also I'm sorry. Owa kunichi also cha naku told and go home. Because Seki was the last name of the person. But since we do not even in such a busy body, will do me staying then Seki-san will trouble better brother. Is made this long, troubled even helped, out of it and I because different of. Sleep side by side brother in the floor I was this kind of bedtime story. Also brother of the head to be my chest. My father had the idea that anyway Sukakura. There was also the idea that if things do not anyway Sukakura, we were like waiting to die of the parent as a child. But we as a child was bought and the represented on top of the word. Then had Raikaisha, well or each other to each other is thinking anything. Dad, still do I like being in the mine heel, brother went to me. It was not no place that looks to the actual street, say the brother. When those in the neighborhood comes to sympathy, I did not know to say that my father always meet. I'm sure if met, it was not able to call to my graduation gift was disappointed. Things like that once healed, instead his illness was also sometimes added. Brother, and your graduation gift is a pretty become quit. I because weakened at the time of I is with soon my memory. I was bitter smile and out thought the messy plight at that time, which was fueled by alcohol, even by force revolve father of attitude those things and to eat drink. Reflected in the bitterly my eye, we was not a good brother so much of the relationship. Smaller one is to the liking quarrel. People of my little year was cry at any time. Professional differences from the enter to the school, was quite out of the differences of personality. My hour and minute you were in college. I that especially in contact with a teacher, looking at his brother from a distance, had always thought it was animal-like, because I did not see a long brother, because it was also far ni was kakehadata, even if from a distance say from time to time. My brother is at any time for me was not close. Still looking this Soeki after a long time. Brother of friendly mood came out sprung from somewhere naturally. If there had been also the case in the great source factor. Common father to two people. In a bedside I am going to die of his father. Brother and I were of the handshake. Brother as you to do now, I heard. I was also subjected to a brother of the questions that was very different in register. I wonder have happened to the house of the property together. I do not know. Dad still do not say anything. But as the gold was saying property would that may high of. My mother also had to bother to come the reply of the teacher in the mother. It accused me as still paddle not come letter. 15. Brother and integral is because teacher chapter any one of it was heard. I replied, do not you talk the other day, while I leave the question on their own. It caused the discomfort just in case against brother forget soon other explanation. I've heard it is but I've heard. My brother was because do not know to hear by Jing. Nothing forcibly did not need to ask them to understand the teacher to his brother if you look from me. But belly stood. The thought came out the place seems older brother of example. Teacher and I have more to be respected. That person was thinking brother so must be always famous of judges. It was inferred that would about a professor of at least university. The name is also no people. People who are not doing anything would have it where to find the value. In the belly of his brother this point, it was exactly the same as the father. But instead of pulling to fast blow any father or playing cannot be anything. Brother though there is something yareru capacity. Leak the wind of the proboscis. Such is limited to human beings disclog as are you hanging around. I goisuto I do not. What also because no matter alive not make it because of lazy canes. People alive is naku as much as possible exert the talent you have of yourself. I toward the brother. I wanted to yari in reflective listening and you understand well the meaning of the word igoisudo. You are using of their own. But it is quite well if it is standing by virtue of that person. Is not his father is also pleased. My brother said such a thing later. More than not come from the teacher of the clear letter. I could not also be believed so. Also did not have the courage to put in so mouth. It and tried to now that had trumpeted to everyone in the mother of early swallowing. I was no longer going to mean that suddenly cancel it. I will not even be prompted to mother. Was waiting for the letter of the teacher. Then in the letter was remembrance and although if writing is that of food and clothing of the mouth, such is whether the idea of everyone. I am dying to have in front of the father, in front of the mother that is being prayer and I want to be reassured somewhat to his father. In front of the brother say so is not a human being have to work. Knows Uncle Dono husband of the other sister in front of the aunt. In that I do not at all to care about. Had to suffer the nerve. When my father who was vomiting also strange yellow thing. I remembered a former danger that has been heard from the teacher and his wife. Look at the face of the mother. Such as, oh, I should stomach even worse because I'm sleeping longer too. Tearful in front of the people who do not know anything. When my brother and I have Okia in the living room. My brother such as, have you heard? It was a sense that you heard that the doctor went toward the brother in the way home. Do not I have to wait a description, its meaning is well understood also. You come back here, whether or not there is willing to supervision that of the home, said his brother has neglected me. I did not answer anything. One person mom, will can do nothing, said his brother was also gone. My brother was looking to be no regrettable be carried out rotten sniffing me the smell of the soil. If you just read a book, to be sufficient even in the countryside, to also eliminates the need to work with it. It would be just good. I went with the brother as it is the order is coming back. Brother, do I to what can such a thing? He dismissed the bite. The brother of the belly was filled road feel that trying to work from now on in the world. If you are bad, but I asked to take care even to the well uncle. Anyway mom my maid is Naku, taken up in which way either? It's a big question or not move or mom moves here already. From before the brothers that still do not die of the father. For after the death of his father, talked to like this. 16. My father sometimes went on to say the Yu. I'm sorry Tanogi General. Indeed Menboku Shidai is not. I also later, soon. That these words issued hioi hioi. My mother wanted evil you. I wanted to keep as much as possible gather everyone to the bedside. It also frequently lonely want the sick when they certainly of mind seemed ish hope. When the shadow of the mother is not visible especially Mimawashi the inside of the chamber. His father was always heard that your light. Also not ask. I had speak for themselves. I went to call the mother often occurred in. And misuse do something. And come in advance by the use of mother planet as it is to the patient's room. My father just had it not say anything just stare at the face of the mother. When I think so, was the story that was like a front. There was also time to issue such a friendly word suddenly. I was in various carrier light you too. B. My mother tearful surely in front of such words. After such has also seemed out thought the old father was surely strong as its control. But I say you Anna where is it? I was quite severe on even there. My mother was talking about such things when Doyasa back in the broom for his father. My brother and I was told it many cursory until now. The mood from that of the usual was like a different, was accepted to the ear as the commemoration of the father the words of the mother. To be continued. Thank you for your viewing. If you like please subscribe to the channel. I am very encouraged.